Hey guys, welcome to Most Craved. I'm Jenna Bush with Legion of Leia.
I'm William Bibiani with Crave, and where in the world is Ray?
Wow, that's good. That's
Thank you.
good.
Practicing that.
So, I like it. So we are talking about Where's Ray? If you guys don't know what that is, I had started that hashtag back in, I think, October, when I had gone to Target and seen a set from the movie. It was an exclusive Hasbro Target set for The Force Awakens, and it had all the male characters and none of the female characters. And
as it turns out, the female characters weren't that important in Star Wars The Force Awakens.
I know.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, so like, raise the lead.
Yeah.
So the other night, a friend of mine, Carrie Goldman, had posted a letter on Twitter and then posted it on Facebook and tagged me in it saying, a letter from her 8-year-old daughter, Annie Rose, asking why Rey was not in the new Monopoly set. The characters you can play with are Darth Vader, Kylo Ren, Finn, and young Luke Skywalker. But Rey is the lead in the movie.
Well, okay, I'm going to say this right now. One, I agree with you, this is messed up.
Thank you.
Two, there is something to be said here real fast, which is that this is not the Star Wars The Force Awakens Monopoly game.
Right.
This is the Star Wars game, and so there's representations of various different films.
Right.
Now, we have two characters in the original trilogy, Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, two characters from the new trilogy, Kylo Ren and Finn, no one from the prequels.
Well, yes. I guess someone else thinks they don't exist.
And people have said, okay, well, they only get one character from the movies, and potentially, if they didn't left out Rey, would we be mad that they left out the one black protagonist from Star Wars?
Well, I would say that Finn is definitely a main character, but Rey is the protagonist of the film. It's sort of like saying, yes, I think so.
Because Finn's the one who actually changes over the course of it, and it seems like Rey just gets more powerful.
I feel like that it's sort of like saying that Princess Leia is the main character of the original trilogy. She's not. It's Luke Skywalker's story. And The Force Awakens, in fact, I'm going to read you the letter from Annie Rose, because first of all, she's adorable.
I would simply argue that Luke goes through more of an arc over the course of the first Star Wars movie than Rey does in the new movie.
I don't know, because I think her powers are awakening. But here's what Annie Rose said.
Okay.
She wrote this to Hasbro.
I don't think getting Iron Man armor was the plot point for Iron Man to grow as a person. But okay, let's move on.
But it's so cool.
Okay.
Okay, so how could you leave out Rey? She belongs in Star Wars Monopoly and all the other Star Wars games. Without her, there is no Force Awakens. That's all in caps. It awakens in her, and without her, the bad guys would have won. Besides, boys and girls need to see women can be as strong as men. Girls matter. Boy or girl, who cares? We are equal, all of us.
I agree. Listen, that is a beautiful letter, especially when you have that in little kid text.
In 3 colors of magic marker.
In 3 colors of magic marker, which is just there's no evil corporation in the world like the most we only make nuclear bombs. And a little girl sends you that letter. Why do you make nuclear bombs? They're bad. And they'd be like, oh God.
I feel like that's a really good idea.
We have to not do that anymore. Like it's and it's great. Listen, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about this new Star Wars movie is that it has a strong female protagonist, has a strong black protagonist in Star Wars, which we haven't had in the movies before. And that's great. And these are fairy tales, they're fables, they give us people to look up to and people to look down on. Kylo Ren.
So emo.
So emo. Yeah, that's the thing. Emo people aren't very well, taken care of in this
I
franchise.
love Kylo Ren, by the way.
That doesn't help.
Love him.
But yeah, we have to look at, unfortunately, certain practical aspects of how a lot of these toy lines are made. If not to necessarily excuse what happened here, but to understand. And a lot of these toys are made well before the movie comes out and people respond to certain characters. A lot of these movies Hasbro has said, regardless of whether or not this is the whole story, that they were refraining from putting Rey in this board game because the fact that she's a protagonist is a spoiler.
I'm sorry, this is my disgusted face. I have the statement.
Oh, go ahead and read the statement.
Okay, so, and I'll just preface this by saying that I had seen this post late at night. I wrote up the story in the morning, and I sent an email to Hasbro's new Star Wars PR people asking if they'd like to make a statement. That was early in the morning. I didn't get this tweet back until later in the evening, around, I guess, 6:30, something like that, Pacific time. And they wrote, "Hey, Jenna, the Star Wars Monopoly game was released in September, months before the movie's release, and Rey was not included to avoid revealing a key plot line that she takes on Kylo Ren and joins the Rebel Alliance. It's not the Rebel Alliance, it's the Resistance." Sorry.
That is the real problem.
Well, that's a very small problem.
Okay.
Rey is featured in the following Star Wars game. Hands down, Guess Who, and chess, as well as our 6-inch Black Series figure, 3 3/4-inch figures and vehicles, Black Series titanium, and micro machines. Additionally, fans will see more Rey product hitting the store shelves this month, including 6-inch and 12-inch Rey action figures. We are thrilled with the popularity of this compelling character and will continue to look for ways to showcase Rey across all of our product lines. Now, if we're saying, first of all, Monopoly, that's not how Monopoly works. But Monopoly, okay, so because I don't remember a big spoiler when the Top Hat and the Thimble got into a fight.
Right.
And if you're saying that having Rey in here spoils the fact that she's part of the Rebel Alliance, it was in the trailers, everyone knew that. But
Yeah,
then Finn would spoil it too.
Agreed. And here's the thing that really bothers me is the idea that knowing Rey is the protagonist of your movie is a spoiler.
Yeah.
I want you to think I know everyone thinks that spoilers just mean knowing stuff about the movie. Spoiler is something that spoils the movie.
Yeah.
That's revealing a twist ending in a
Right.
famous movie.
Right.
Now, sometimes a twist can occur at the beginning of a movie. I would argue, for example, that there's something that happens to one of the hero characters in the first third of this movie
Right.
that if I were to say it out loud would constitute a spoiler.
Right.
Most of the stuff that happens in the first third of any movie isn't a spoiler.
Yeah.
Knowing that Rey is a good guy or a good gal,
Yeah.
it is
Not a spoiler.
not a spoiler. You're going to figure that out within a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and putting Finn in there, I mean, that's more of a spoiler. He's a stormtrooper. So, but I
Well, they don't
whether
put him
or
in a
not-
stormtrooper garb, and we've
No,
seen him
no.
in this wonderful jacket.
We have, yes, and that alone is sort of a spoiler. But that, it's funny because I write about this stuff a lot. Anyone who reads Legion of Leia knows that I write about this stuff a lot. This is the first time I didn't get a major backlash. Most of the people, when I tweeted this, most of the people were like, "Oh, come on now, that's stupid." And I was curious, like, did they think we weren't going to notice? And this is the thing that bothers me. The sets that they've been bringing out, like the set for Force Awakens that didn't have a single female character but had 2 unidentified First Order pilot and stormtrooper. People said stuff and they were like, "Oh, really? What? Really?" And it happened with the Star Wars Rebels set, which had all of the male characters, 2 unnamed. Well, they weren't First Order back then; they were Empire characters, but neither of the female characters. It happened with the set, the Marvel Heroes set that had 2 versions of Iron Man, but no female characters. It happened with
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
It happened with the Avengers Age of Ultron set, the Heroes set that replaced Black Widow with Ultron, who, not Vision, but Ultron.
Yeah.
Because he's a, what? And then, the whole Black Widow argument where they're like, "Oh, well, she's an assassin and we don't want the kids to play with an assassin." Well, they're playing with Ultron.
Yeah.
You can't make that argument. If
Well, you
you're
also
gonna,
can't make an assassin a hero.
Yeah.
If you're going to have that argument,
Exactly.
it doesn't really work. There's obviously some sort of disconnect here.
Yeah.
And I think what it may simply be is people are slow to catch up to the fact that women like stuff that is traditionally for boys. These sorts of action figures, if you look at toy commercials from the 80s and
Right.
90s, when they finally started really being able to push and market toys via TV shows and so forth, which used to be like against the rules. You weren't allowed to
Yeah.
do that. Toy commercials appeared en masse, and then there were girls' toys and boys' toys.
Right.
Girls had Rainbow Bright and Strawberry Shortcake, and boys had all the cool stuff.
Uh-huh.
I'm just kidding.
All the cool
Hang on,
stuff.
I like Rainbow Bright a lot.
Yeah,
all right,
this
Onyx
does-
is. I always wanted Onyx. Onyx is a cool horse.
This does not surprise me.
Okay, I'm just saying. But I'm just saying I don't want to be rude to
that's
Rainbow
cool.
Bright fans. But now there's a lot more overlap, and that the companies haven't quite caught on to this.
Yeah, they've
That-
non-gendered toy aisles, but they haven't quite.
Well, they can't. It's like, oh, we want to divide things, pink
Right.
and blue.
Right.
Guy movies and chick flicks, and that's crap.
Yeah,
honestly.
it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, you could argue that certain movies are made for a specific demographic, certain TV shows are made for a specific demographic, which may be, I wouldn't even say male and female, but feminine and masculine. You know, I would say.
Or age groups or whatever.
Or age groups, absolutely, certainly. But Star Wars has a universal appeal. That's why it takes place in the universe.
Right.
It's for everyone now, and I think, I think we're at the point now where we have to say, yeah, you know how like the protagonist of Star Wars is a woman now?
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Maybe we should have more of those.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason I didn't get a major backlash with this is because it's Monopoly. There is no way to argue Monopoly is a boy's toy, or a boy's game.
Okay, well, here's what I will say. Monopoly is, but look at this, Trade Federation tax. Monopoly is a game about the economy.
Yeah.
Really, none of these people are economists. You know who should be in this game? Watto. All right, that one beast that Rey tried to sell scrap to on Jakku. Like, that's who should be in this game. You're telling me that Finn is going to do a lot of paperwork. I know he worked in sanitation, but he was installing toilet mains. He wasn't filling out the forms about the toilet mains. I don't think Kylo Ren has ever filled out a W-2 in his life. So what I'm saying here is none of these people make any sense whatsoever.
There is that. Oh, but I do want to say that at less than 24 hours after they made that statement, or that this whole thing started, they decided they're going to add Rey to the set.
Later in the year.
Right. So
they need to get rid of their current stock.
Yeah, so I have that statement here as well. They tweeted to Carrie Goldman, whose daughter is the one that wrote the original letter. We love your passion for Rey and are happy to share that we will be including her in the Monopoly Star Wars game available later this year. Now, there's no word about whether or not they're going to send out vouchers for a Rey figure for the people who already bought it, when later this year is, if it's Christmas, if it's, so we really don't know that. But that, I have to say, despite the really lame excuse, is heartening. It makes me feel good that they're willing to acknowledge that this is actually happening.
And it once again proves my point that little kids writing letters in multiple colors can change the world. So if someone has like a 6-year-old kid who can write me some handwritten letters to Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell so I can finally get my Tango versus Cash sequel made.
Oh, God.
Let's do that.
Children, do not do that.
Children, do this. This will be awesome.
No.
No, what else are they doing? It's great. We're fine.
Idea.
It's a great idea.
But I do want to say that it is important, and what Annie Rose said in that letter is that it is important for both boys and girls to see female protagonists and to see characters that are female to look up to, villains to hate, all of that stuff. It matters.
Because hate is of course a great thing in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. I mean, that's
hate doesn't lead to any sort of negative consequences in the Star Wars universe.
I have no idea what quote you're mentioning. No, but I mean, it's important that you don't just see one side, that you see women everywhere. And it matters, and we're not going to stop talking about it. And so it's maybe time to change.
I concur.
Thank you.
Now, what do you think we're going to see when Rogue One comes out and there's no Please
don't do that.
Figures.
You've got the time. Just make the lady figures and take my money. Okay? All right. Well, guys, let us know what you think about this. And you can put the hashtag Where's Rey in the tweet. So, I will definitely be checking that. And follow us on Most Craved right here. And we will see you next week. May the Force be with you.
Where in the world is Rey?